Hey authors, it's me, Melody Ann. Welcome to Author Nation. In today's video, I want to talk about storytelling again. And today we're going to talk about the shift. The truth is, if you don't have a shift in your story, you don't have a story. Without a shift, it's just an example or an anecdote. It's not a story. The shift, the change is the crux of the story. So what is the shift all about? Change. Something must change. In a book, in a long book, many things change. In a short 4-minute story or a small story in a nonfiction book about about a specific topic with a story to illuminate something, then maybe there might only be one change or one shift. So in a book, many shifts, culminating into a larger shift. In a shorter story, just maybe one shift is enough. But something must change. So what can change? A character can change. A character can grow, can become a better person or a worse person. A family can change, a community can change, a society can change. Again, they can be better or not. Nature can change, the outside world can change, technology can change. Anything can change, but something must change for it to be a story. And that's what a shift is. It is a change. How can they change? Change happens when a character comes up against an obstacle or a challenge, or there's some sort of conflict, and the character learns a lesson, gains an insight, acquires knowledge, a new skill or skills, has a new way of feeling, has a new perspective, has a shift in values or priorities. It could be a lot of things. Then the character applies this lesson learned, insight, knowledge, new skills, and the shift occurs. How do you show the shift to your audience? Well, if you think about a shift in a story, think about who the character was before the story started and who they are after the story. So that's the shift, right? And you can look on the outside, the external, or you can look on the inside. What was the world like before the shift? What were the other people like before the shift? What was the character like before the shift? And what was the world like after the shift? What were the other characters like? What was the technology like? What was the person like after the shift? What was the world at large like before and after the shift? It depends what's shifting, but it really is how you show it. Is you show that before and you show that after. Do they walk differently? Do they talk differently? Do they think differently? Do they look differently? Do they have a similar conversation with another character that has a completely different ending because they have these new skills or this new perspective that they're applying to their life now? There are lots of ways to show it. It can be in how they dress. It can be in how they think. You can have that internal monologue. It can be in the actions people take, the behaviors. There's so many ways to show a shift. The shift can be an insight, shift in perspective, values, priorities, new behaviors, reacting differently to the same situation. Dialogue outcomes can be different. Language, how they speak can be different. Internal messaging is new. So there's a whole slew of ways that you can show a shift. So you don't want to tell the shift. You don't want to say, this character is different now because blah, blah, blah. You want the audience, you want your readers to figure it out themselves somehow. Whether the behavior has changed and you're showing behavior, or whether the way they speak has changed and they're showing you how they speak, or whether their thoughts have changed and you're showing them how they think now. So one of the things you never want to do is you never want to tell the audience the shift. You always want them to discover the shift. Another mistake I see, so I'm going to give you 3 big mistakes. The first one was telling the audience about the shift rather than letting them discover it for themselves. The second big mistake I see is not showing the shift at all, just not showing the shift, just assuming that people will pick it up. There must be some indication of a shift for the audience to actually see that it was possible and see and understand it. And the third one, and this I think might even be the worst, is forcing the audience to get it. Evangelizing, dictating, preaching, and this is how it is, and this is how it was, and especially if you're trying to change people, if you're trying to teach people and lead people and change people, kind of forcing that on people in a preachy, teachy kind of way makes them want to back up and not listen. So you always, again, you want the audience to discover it themselves. That goes back to number 1. When you don't want to just tell them, You don't want to not show them at all, and you don't want to force it on them. You want them to discover it for themselves. That is the power in story right there, because we don't have to tell people how to think or how to be different. They see it through that story. That's the power of storytelling. So shift. You want to make sure your story has a shift, a change, a before and an after. Whether you're oral storytelling, whether you are writing a whole memoir or just a very short story to help illuminate something in your nonfiction book, storytelling is an incredibly powerful tool, and I encourage you to use it. I have several videos on storytelling. In the description, you will find the link to the playlist, so go check that out and learn lots more about storytelling. I love storytelling, and I love talking about it. And so you don't miss anything, please subscribe.